In this tutorial, I'm going to discuss about post-installation task in Exchange Server 2010. So as soon as we install Exchange Server 2010, we need to do a couple of post installations. These installations are based on our tasks we're going to perform and even the future requirements. Now, the first thing we need to do is enter a product key. Now, as usual, Exchange Server came up with a trial version, and that is of 120 days of trial version. And you can use that Exchange Server 2010 for 120 days. You can join a program on Microsoft, and you can let the Microsoft improve the service more and more. So 120 days total free, and you can use Exchange Server as trial version. Now, Exchange Server 2010 came up with two editions, and is you have to provide a project kit. Now, what kind of project kit? So two editions are there, and after 120 days trial version, you have to agree the terms, and the types of agreements are standard and enterprise. So product key is of 120. The product key after 120 days trial version is of two types, standard and enterprise, and this is total product key. It's not like you're choosing the definitions of editions, not like that, because once we install Exchange Server 2010, we never found these things, and we just install anyway. So this agreement, like standard or enterprise, will define only if you are buying a product key like that after 120 days trial version. So standard edition, for example, standard edition, what standard edition is. So standard edition support 5 database on each server. This is the basic definition of standard edition. Is if you buy a key of standard edition of Exchange Server 2010, then it will support 5 database on each server. If your working style is very less, you're not that infrastructure environment is very less, then you can go with standard edition. Enterprise edition, enterprise edition supports 100 database on each server. So this is what the two basic definition of standard edition and enterprise edition. It supports 5 database, and enterprise support 100 database on each server. I mean, big infrastructure environments will definitely go with enterprise edition, and more requirements will allow them to go with big demands uh, for Exchange Server 2010. Now, client access license. Now, this is the different thing that licensing terms is discussed. That that is the standard uh, uh, and enterprise, and that's the licensing term of Exchange Server. Now, client access license uh, is of two types again, is standard and enterprise. The client access license is user have to buy a license to use something, use a software, for example. So client access license is needed to use any of the device, any of the product. You are buying something, it means you are buying the license also, you're buying the agreement also, that I am authorized to use that. So client access license also have two types, standard and enterprise. And as I said, that client access uh, needs to be buy. You have to be owner to use a service of Exchange Server 2010. So this is also of two types, standard and enterprise. Now what standard actually do? The standard cloud provides access to basics exchange functionality like email, calendar, contact, and so on. Enterprise edition in one way uh, provides access to unified messaging, custom retention policies, advanced exchange active sync policies per user or per distribution list journaling, the ability to enable the personal archive feature, multiple mailbox search, including transport and Outlook protection rules. So a client access means you need authority, you need access to um, just you need authority, you just need a permission, you need a valid authentication to access Xn Server 2010. And this is what client access license be. Whatever service you buy that service with the agreement, you buy that service with a proper license. You not just start using the service, you have to go through this licensing terms. Now client access license of a bit different, because as I say, it is of two types, standard and enterprise. Now, for enterprise licensing, user must obtain standard license first. It's not that you directly go through and start buying enterprise licensings. You first need a standard license, and if you need an enterprise, then both needs to be clubbed. First buy a standard license, then you buy enterprise license. So two keys required, one of standard and second is enterprise, not that you directly go and buy enterprise. This is needed. First buy standard, then go through enterprise. So a little bit illogical thing, but we have to go through from this way to buy enterprise licensing of client access license. Now the next thing we need to discuss is about protection. Now secure your Exchange Server 2010 from malware and other thefts, since entire mailbox and other mail related servers are there in Exchange Server 2002. You're using more and more services which needs to be secure. It should not left like that. And Exchange Server themselves provide a Microsoft forefront, so that's the by default antivirus they are providing. You can try that, or you can use other options too, which is available in the market, but do secure your Exchange Server 2010 from malware and other thefts, because uh, if you lost controlling, if your system get hacked, then you may mess up with very important data. You may lose those very important data, which can create problems sometimes. Now another thing we really need to learn about, and that's about Windows Firewall. Now set up Windows Firewall with advanced security. Now if your firewall is by default firewall of Windows or Linux, then it can uh, be managed with advanced security, because Exchange Server 2010 do a setup from their own. But if you have a hardware Windows firewall, if you're managing firewall with separate hardware and maybe separate the network with subnets, then it might create problems. So you have to settle down those things with commonly used ports for each row. So you have to notify these ports should allow in your hardware firewall if is installed in your infrastructure environment. What are those ports are which you need to make sure those are working fine. So port number 25 is for hub transport, edge transport, SMTP traffic. And port number 135, which is for mailbox server MAPI access. Port number 80 for client access server auto discoverability, Outlook web app, Outlook Anywhere, Exchange ActiveSync. 443, which is the port number for client access server secure SSL, to discoverability, Outlook web app, and then Outlook Anywhere, Exchange ActiveSync. So these four are the most commonly used port numbers, which we need to make sure that those are needs to be uh, configured, needs to be due in the hardware firewall. Otherwise, if you are in concerning about the software firewall, then Exchange server do make changes in active security. So don't be concerned about. They knows what service uh, needs to be on, what service needs to be off. So they did things according to it. So hope you learned something about post installation and licensing terms of Exchange Server 2010. Thanks for watching.